Ever miss a breakout because your scanner didn't catch it? Or worse, your charts lagged behind the move? I've been there, so that's why I tested 3 of the best stock technical analysis tools: Trade Ideas, TrendSpider, and TC2000. I wanted to know which one actually gives traders a real edge, not just in theory, but in the heat of a fast-moving market. And if you stick around until the end, I'll share the one feature that completely changed the way I spot high probability setups. Okay, now, before I trusted any of these stock technical analysis tools with my strategy, I spent a ridiculous amount of time digging through some user reviews, the good, the bad, and the sketchy. Because, let's face it, glossy marketing isn't going to tell you what real traders are dealing with. And I always start with the worst reviews first. That's where the truth usually hides. Starting with Trade Ideas. One guy said he signed up for the test drive expecting full access, but realized fast that most features were locked. Then he tried copying a few AI trades and ended up losing money. He also said the interface felt outdated, like something from the 90s. Now, I get the frustration, especially if you're going to test drive all the premium features, but let's be real, copying trades blindly without context is a fast track to losses, no matter the tool. And based on what I've seen in most Trade Ideas communities I'm part of, that experience wasn't the norm. Trade Ideas also has a 4.7 out of 5 rating for a reason. And one trader who said he's been trading for over 10 years said that he wouldn't go a day without this stock market technical analysis tool. Another user mentioned he'd been using it for 20 years. 20! He called it the best stocks technical analysis tool out there for both pros and newer traders. But alright, let's go to the next one. Then there's TrendSpider. One reviewer said that he was frustrated because this stock technical analysis website only offered intraday charts and he wanted longer-term indicators. So I can see how that might throw people off, especially if you're not used to automation. TrendSpider does feel like a high-performance machine when you first step in, but that's also its biggest strength. Once I got comfortable with the interface and watched a few tutorials, things started clicking. And honestly, the support team is responsive. You don't need to figure it out all alone. Plus, on the flip side, I found multiple reviews that called TrendSpider a game changer. One investor said it's the best for stock and crypto charting and highlighted their AI features as something you just don't see on other platforms. Okay, now onto TC2000. I found a reviewer complaining that while the charting tools were excellent, they were disappointed to find out that the data feed wasn't included in the base price. You had to upgrade to access real-time data. Yeah, that's a bummer. But, honestly, most platforms do the same thing. Data costs money, and in TC2000's case, the quality of their tools actually justifies the upsell. So it's not a bait and switch, they're pretty transparent once you start exploring. One guy who's been trading for almost 2 decades said he's tried all the major charting softwares and ended up sticking with TC2000. He specifically mentioned the most recent version being incredibly powerful in skilled hands. Alright, now that we've seen what real users say, let's dig into the features, because this is where these platforms really separate themselves. So whether you trade momentum, breakouts, or long-term setups, each one has something unique that might give you an edge. With Trade Ideas, the Trade Wave feature was a game changer for me. It's basically like having a second set of eyes on the market that never gets tired. It uses moving average logic combined with trend identification to spit out actual buy and sell signals. And we're not talking vague setups. It gives you clean entries. So for newer traders, that clarity alone is worth the price. Then there's Holly. That's their flagship AI. So Holly scans thousands of stocks pre-market and intraday using dozens of strategies. It literally creates a watch list for you every day, complete with statistical odds and suggested stops. And here's what blew my mind. It doesn't just hand you picks. It logs each trade's performance so you can go back and learn what worked and why. And have you seen their new hover chart feature? Total game changer. Just hover over a ticker and you instantly get a snapshot of its setup. No need to open a dozen windows or flip tabs. It made my workflow so much faster than it would have been. Also, Trade Ideas Scope 360 gives you real-time visualizations of market movement, with the paid version, of course. I used it during a volatile open one morning, and I could instantly spot sector momentum when I would have missed it on some static charts. Meanwhile, TrendSpider takes automation to a new level. One of the first things that stood out to me was their heat maps. So these overlays highlight strong support and resistance zones. They calculated mathematically instead of like manually drawing lines. So it feels like having an expert look over your shoulder, marking up your chart for you. Their watch lists are also no joke. I could create a list of stocks I was watching and set it to trigger alerts, so SMS or email, for any time a specific pattern was identified. So that saved me from babysitting charts all day, and I could spread it out a lot more. Their offset indicators were a weird concept to me at first, but once I started experimenting, I realized how powerful they really are. You can shift indicators to lead price or lag it, depending on your strategy. So that's something I never got from basic charting tools. Okay, now on to TC2000. Their scan plots feature is underrated, in my opinion. Basically, it shows you how your scan results have changed over time. So you can see if more or fewer stocks are passing your conditions, which actually gives you market sentiment clues. So I've used this to confirm macro shifts, like when Brent is drying up even though SPY is pushing highs. Their historical bar count blew me away too. With 1,500 bars of history, I was able to analyze 6 years of daily chart action. I used to get annoyed at, how limited some platforms were with their historical data. But with TC2000, I can go way back and study patterns with actual depth. And while it might not have AI like the other AI stock technical analysis tools, it makes up for it with clarity and control. Everything is smooth, fast, and built for traders who want full visibility. Now, are these technical analysis of stock trends platforms perfect? No, of course not, but here's the thing. You don't need perfect. You need consistent, powerful, and reliable. All three deliver that. With trade ideas, I'll admit, the interface can feel a little clunky at first, but once you set up your layouts and learn the flow, it becomes second nature. And honestly, the power behind the AI more than makes up for the slight learning curve. TrendSpider also has a learning curve, but live support and tutorials make it easier to master. And once you do, it's a really powerful tool. TC2000 requires a paid upgrade for real-time data, but delivers a smooth, reliable charting experience once unlocked. All right, so what about price? Now, let's be real. The technical analysis of stock tools like these aren't cheap. But here's the question I asked myself. What's the cost of missing a trade or taking a bad one? And that's when I realized that all three of these tools are pretty reasonably priced, especially when you compare them to the cost of making uninformed trades. At the end of the day, each of these technical analysis and stock market tools earns its price point. You're not paying for fluff. You're paying for tools that help you make better decisions. Just check the links in the description to see any of their current pricing options, their promos, and their discounts. I'll keep them updated whenever possible. So, which stock technical analysis app would I trust with my trades? Personally, Trade Ideas still takes the top spot for me. The AI, customizable scans, and precision alerts are just hard to beat. But TrendSpider and TC2000 have some hidden gems too, especially if you trade in a certain style. Check the link in the description of this video to get started with our special discount and coupon.